Get ready because today we are diving into a coin that most people have held, spent, ignored, or tossed into a drawer without ever realizing the history and hidden value it carries. This is not just pocket change. This is a coin born in the middle of Britain's most dramatic currency transformation in modern history. A coin that marked the death of an old monetary system and the birth of decimal Britain. And for some collectors, certain examples of this coin are worth far more than 10 pence. In today's Coins Numismatic series, we are uncovering the rarity, the history, the design secrets, the mintage surprises, and the market values behind one of the most fascinating transitional coins ever struck. If you think 10 pence is ordinary, think again. The 1968 Elizabeth II new 10 pence coin. To understand the 1968 new 10 pence coin, we have to step back into a Britain that was preparing for monumental change. Before 1971, the United Kingdom used a centuries-old currency system based on pounds, shillings, and pence. 12 pence made a shilling, 20 shillings made a pound, and calculations required mental gymnastics that most of the world had already abandoned. Decimalization was inevitable. The British government announced that on Decimal Day, February 15, 1971, the country would officially transition to a decimal currency system where 100 new pence would equal 1 pound. But change of this scale required preparation. Years before Decimal Day, new coins had to be introduced into circulation so the public could adapt gradually. That is where the 1968 new 10 pence coin enters history. It was not simply a new denomination. It was a bridge between two monetary worlds. The 1968 new 10 pence coin was introduced 3 years before decimalization officially took effect. Crucially, it was struck to be exactly the same size and weight as the existing 1 shilling coin. This was deliberate. The idea was simple but brilliant. Since 10 new pence would equal 1 shilling in the upcoming decimal system, the new 10p could circulate side by side with the old shilling. For several years, both coins were accepted interchangeably. This transitional strategy made the 1968 new 10 pence coin one of the most historically significant modern British coins ever produced. The obverse of the coin features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. In 1968, the portrait used was the first definitive effigy created by Arnold Machin. This portrait shows a young Queen Elizabeth II wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. The design is elegant and refined, with a sense of youthful regality that defined British coinage for decades. Around the portrait appears the inscription Elizabeth II DG Reg FD, standing for Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. The lettering is crisp and classical, framing the monarch in a dignified yet modern presentation. The reverse design features a crowned lion passant guardant, taken from the royal arms. The lion stands proudly, one forepaw raised, symbolizing strength, sovereignty, and continuity. Below the lion appears the denomination new pence and the date 1968. The word new was particularly important. It distinguished this coin from the old penny system and reminded the public that change was coming. The crown lion design created a visual link to Britain's heraldic traditions, reinforcing stability during a time of financial transformation. The coin was struck in copper-nickel, a durable alloy composed of copper and nickel. It weighed approximately 11.31 grams and measured about 28.5 millimeters in diameter. Because it matched the size of the 1 shilling coin, it feels substantial in hand. In fact, compared to today's smaller 10p coins introduced in 1992, the 1968 version feels almost like a medallion. Now let's examine the mintage figures, because this is where collector interest begins to sharpen. The Royal Mint struck an enormous quantity of 1968 new 10 pence coins to prepare for decimalization. Estimates place the mintage at over 118 million pieces. On the surface, that sounds overwhelmingly common. And indeed, in circulated grades, the 1968 10p is not rare. Many survive today in worn condition, often valued only slightly above face value in the collector market. However, numbers alone do not determine value. Condition, strike quality, and survival rates in high grades tell a very different story. Because these coins were heavily circulated from 1968 onward, Finding truly pristine examples is far more difficult than many people assume. Coins that entered circulation in 1968 could have seen years of handling before decimal day even arrived. As a result, uncirculated examples with full mint luster and minimal contact marks are scarcer than the raw mintage suggests. In lower circulated grades, the 1968 new 10-pence coin typically trades for modest amounts, often between 50 pence and a few pounds depending on eye appeal. In extremely fine condition, values may range from 5 to 15 pounds. But once we move into brilliant uncirculated territory, especially coins preserved in original mint sets or saved directly from banks, prices climb significantly. High-end uncirculated examples can sell for 20 to 50 pounds. Certified top-grade specimens graded by professional services can command even higher premiums, particularly if they exhibit exceptional luster and sharp strike detail. Now let's talk about rare and valuable varieties, because this is where the excitement builds. Although the 1968 10p was not known for dramatic design changes, subtle die variations and striking anomalies exist. Collectors search for double die obverse, where elements of the Queen's portrait or lettering show visible doubling due to misalignment during die creation. These varieties can be difficult to detect without magnification, but authenticated examples can sell for strong premiums due to their scarcity. Off-center strikes also appear occasionally. These occur when the planchet is not perfectly aligned in the striking press. Depending on how dramatic the misalignment is, values can rise dramatically. A slight off-center example may bring modest premiums, while a dramatic error retaining a visible date can command well over 100 pounds among error specialists. Another collectible category includes broad strikes, where the coin was struck without the retaining collar, causing it to spread slightly beyond its intended diameter. These pieces have softer edges and a slightly expanded appearance. Because error collecting has grown significantly in popularity in recent decades, unusual 1968 10p errors can bring impressive auction results. There is also collector demand for coins with exceptional toning. Copper-nickel coins sometimes develop subtle golden, blue, or iridescent hues over decades. While toning does not always increase value, aesthetically pleasing examples can command premiums, especially if the surfaces remain unblemished. One fascinating aspect of the 1968 new 10-pence coin is its role as a long-term circulating type. The large-size 10p remained in circulation until 1992, when it was replaced with a smaller version to reduce production costs and align with European coin sizes. When the smaller 10p was introduced, the older large coins were gradually withdrawn. Many were melted down. This melting reduced the surviving population of high-grade examples, particularly those that had not been saved by collectors. The transition from large to small 10p coins renewed collector interest in the original 1968 issue. As people realized the larger coins were disappearing from circulation, they began searching through change jars and coin albums. This surge of interest elevated the coin's profile in British numismatics. Market demand today remains steady. The 1968 10p appeals to multiple categories of collectors. Decimal transition specialists view it as a cornerstone piece. Elizabeth II portrait collectors appreciate it as part of the long-running Machin effigy series. Error collectors hunt for dramatic striking anomalies. And general British coin collectors include it in type sets representing the dawn of decimal Britain. Investment potential depends heavily on grade and rarity. Common circulated pieces are unlikely to skyrocket in value due to the high original mintage. However, premium uncirculated examples and verified error coins have shown consistent appreciation. As more collectors seek high-grade decimal era coins, competition for the finest surviving specimens intensifies. Beyond numbers and prices, the true value of the 1968 Elizabeth II new 10-pence coin lies in its historical symbolism. It represents a moment when Britain modernized its economy while preserving continuity through design. The crown lion stood firm as the nation stepped into a new financial era. The youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II signaled stability during transformation. Few coins embody such a clear narrative of change balanced with tradition. When you hold this coin, you are holding the physical embodiment of decimal days preparation. You are touching a transitional artifact that eased millions of citizens into a simpler, more modern currency system. That historical weight adds emotional and cultural value that goes far beyond catalog listings. For collectors building a serious decimal era set, Securing a sharply struck, fully lustrous 1968 example is essential. For error specialists, careful inspection under magnification may reveal hidden treasures. And for long-term investors, focusing on top-grade certified pieces offers the strongest growth potential. The 1968 Elizabeth II new 10-pence coin may have started as a practical solution to monetary reform, but today it stands as one of the most important modern British coins. It bridges centuries of monetary tradition and signals the dawn of decimal Britain. While millions were struck, truly exceptional survivors are far fewer than the raw mintage implies. So before you dismiss a large old 10-pence coin as ordinary, take a closer look. Examine the portrait. Study the lion. Check the edges for errors. Assess the luster. Because within this seemingly simple piece of copper-nickel lies history, rarity, and collector opportunity waiting to be discovered. And in the world of numismatics, sometimes the most overlooked coins are the ones that tell the most powerful stories.